Call to order the September steering committee meeting of Community Board 7 Manhattan. As the first order of business, I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we are now in executive session for any members of the public who are attending. Are there any?
Yes, do you want to do the private Zoom and send that out?
Yeah, they will need to leave for about a period of 10 minutes until we transact business related to a personnel matter that is private. And then we will return to an open meeting with the public participating.
Okay.
So is there some way we can affect
Yeah.
this point?
A quick question. Yeah, just related to personnel. I mean, not individuals, but just the process.
Why don't you wait? No,
Okay.
I'm going to be talking about
Okay.
that.
Okay. Because it does relate a little bit to what we just. voted
Yeah,
on.
and we can, as I go through the chair's report, I think a lot of that will get dealt with anyway. Okay, I'm announcing that this evening, two members of the executive committee, two members of the steering committee have approved waivers. Jami Floyd due to travel, Seema Reddy due to unexpected childcare obligations. With that, I'd like to adopt the agenda such as it was. All in favor? Thank you. Max has left the building and we all miss him, right? The condensed timeline under which he had to start his new job really didn't allow for us to have a proper send-off, certainly not the send-off that he deserves. We will continue to plot on how to honor his service to this board and to this community. And if any of you have suggestions as to how we can do that and maybe lure him back for something, please just shoot me a note. I do think we should in some way express to him our appreciation. Okay.
Can I just ask, this is sort of along those lines. Are you continuing with personnel?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just trying to get a sense of, like, for instance, I was on the bus tonight with an external constituent. Is it public about Max being no longer district manager, and certain questions like how is he communicating with, since he left so abruptly, with people that he comes into correspondence with through his other things?
He did a fairly extensive leave taking through emails.
Josh?
The bottom, Josh.
Oh,
the
maybe that
bottom.
one too.
Okay. Fairly extensive leave taking by email with all of the constituents that he dealt with. I know how to get in touch with him. I can certainly, if people have stuff, I can help expedite getting things to him. I'm not sure how broadly he would like his new contact information spread.
Yeah, I was just thinking more on the other end. If people are reaching out to him, do we just expect that those people will, is there a bounce back to his CB7 Gmail? Is he continuing?
I think that the staff here are trying to handle things. He also, I believe, put up a out of office.
Okay.
So people are directed to the other
Okay,
staff.
but in terms of, like, us being able to communicate, we can communicate that if people ask us, or if we.
Yeah, that he's
officially finished the
he's
job.
officially finished
Yeah,
his
okay,
job.
yeah, okay.
It's related
Well,
to.
this was also something we did, I
Right.
personally didn't know,
No.
we didn't know, none of us knew
Yeah.
until now,
Yeah.
like, so it's,
Okay.
I just didn't want to speak on that.
No, it's okay. So other updates, our job posting for district manager is up in the city and in city and state. We are getting resumes in. There are about 16 or 17 so far, of varying quality, that we're collecting, and they will be screened by the executive committee to try to narrow them down and perhaps, do in some cases some initial interviews. The point that we are trying to reach is that by October 7th, when we hold our election and a new chair is selected, we can bring that person into the conversation to make decisions with a lot of the work already done, in order to, as much as possible, fill the position rapidly, because we obviously need someone on board as soon as we can. So that's sort of the plan. And I'm being helped on this matter so far by our esteemed co-secretary here.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Ken?
The new chair wouldn't take the reins until November.
That's correct. However, it would be certainly my preference to make sure that that person is fully aware of everything going on and be essentially the final decision maker around this, even if that decision happens, in the latter parts of the month of October.
Okay.
Simply to move things forward.
So this might be in the bylaws, but who wrote the job description for the district manager?
Well,
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out like what the process is
we-
really. who
sure,
determines
we
it.
got from the Borough President's office, the last one.
Okay.
I sent it around to members of the executive committee. Everybody put in their 2 cents for editing it. I did the final, making sure the commas and the semicolons were right. And with that, we got it posted.
Okay.
We also took some advice from Max, actually, about some changes that would be appropriate to make to it.
Jamie has her hand up.
Jamie?
My question may be premature. So Beverly, if you want to hold it to the end, please let me know. But my question really has to do with what we're to do in the interim. This week, I found myself unsure about where to send certain messages, how to direct queries that normally would have gone to Max or a district manager. So perhaps at some point before we close this part of the session, you could address that. Thank you.
Now, I mean, they're
We've lost audio, Seema and I.
We're good now. Say it again. Say it
Are
again.
you okay?
Yep.
Now you can hear? Okay. Now, there are 3 choices. You can write to me, you can write to Jessie, or you can write to Alex Crawford. And if you don't know who to write to all 3. I really think we're going to be trying as much as possible to keep things from falling between the cracks. I will be sharing information, obviously, with the executive committee as necessary. And we're just trying to keep all the balls in the air. It's a short period here. We're all committed to making it work. Bax did, I think, a very good job before he left of carefully parceling out his own responsibilities to the remaining staff and to Maisie, so that we have coverage where we need to be. But there are some changes sort of that I do need to talk about, not necessarily immediate, but that have been teed up by some conversations that have been had here. So I am announcing 2 appointments. Minna has agreed to join Kristen as co-chair of YEL. And that she replaces Avi, who left in June. And Tabitha has stepped down from housing for personal reasons, and the co-chair position has essentially now been offered to Louisa Craddock for a limited period of time of 3 months to give support to Seema, as they have a very, very heavy agenda right now. And Louisa did not wish to serve in any longer term than that. And that will permit a new chair to essentially make that appointment when they're named on a permanent basis. Ken,
Will Louisa still be on HHS?
that's up to Louisa.
Okay, I'll ask.
Should we be signing in, by the way?
Yeah, eventually. Well, yes, you should. 2 applications are in the works for community planning fellows, which is a program run by the Fund for the City of New York. And Maisie Haft has been very helpful in completing one, and she's now working on the second along with Seema. The process is extremely competitive. We don't know that we'll be chosen for them, but we are trying to put into very strong proposals that deal with 2 of the highest priority items that we just voted as our highest priorities for the district needs. HHS, under Ken's guidance, has developed a proposal for a guide to health and social services in our district. And again, I think Maisie was very helpful in putting that together. And Housing and Land Use has a project to research the non-zoning barriers in city regulation to, again, creating SRO housing. As we all know, City of Yes dealt with some of the zoning issues around that, but there are many other city agencies that have regulations that really prevent SROs from being created in this new era. So those are the two ideas we had, and we're hopeful we will get very smart people working on them if we're successful. And in Max's absence, I'm supervising the staff, signing their timesheets. And I ask, the one thing I do ask is that we be all respectful of their time at this point, because they are stressed. And they have a lot to do that essentially 2.5 people are picking up Max's responsibilities by and large, and that's just a lot of work, because as you may know, Max worked unbelievably long hours. We are also adding this month 2 additional committee meetings where 2 committees felt that they needed 2 meetings to go through very sensitive work. One will be an additional housing and land use meeting that is in the process of being set up to meet the deadline that the Department of City Planning has set for the Manhattan Plan. And then an additional preservation meeting has been requested to address the new filing with the Landmarks Commission around the West Park Church, asking for hardship approval to demolish the church. So both of those will appear on the calendar once they get set. And if you are involved or interested in those 2 issues, keep an eye out for them. I wanted to discuss hybrid meeting. This is a sort of very technical matter that has come to our attention really within the last month or so. DC 37, the union that represents our community coordinator employees, is focusing now very much on a gray area in the union contract, the distinction between mandatory and voluntary comp time. Mandatory overtime is regularly scheduled service that must be paid out at an hourly rate in cash. Voluntary overtime is occasional, subject to the agreement of the workers, and can be paid out as compensatory time rather than cash. We've been treating the staff coverage of evening meetings as voluntary, and we've been told that that is not appropriate. And union now insists that must be treated as mandatory. If we continue to staff our evening committee meetings as we have in the past, the costs of complying with this requirement will not be affordable within our budget. According to city rules, the workday must begin between 8 and 10 in the morning. Evening paid meetings will automatically trigger costs for the evening meeting and any downtime between when the workday ends and when the committee meeting starts. We were able to afford those costs for full board meetings, which we think are important to be fully staffed. The problems with committee meetings. So Max and I discussed at great length what solution would be appropriate to pursue. And what I think we would recommend to new members of the executive team who come in is that co-chairs be responsible by and large for setting up and running the virtual meeting technology. There are several committees that already work on that basis, where staff have not supported them, and they do just fine. I know with the help that Alex has given, we've managed to streamline a lot of the process for setting up those meetings, and a number of co-chairs have come in to get training on how to do that. I think we would like to see our efforts in this regard intensified over the next month so that we train many of the additional co-chairs on this process so that within each committee there are at least one, if not more, people who feel comfortable in the zone of running a meeting by doing the tech setup. And I think that's doable. My recommendation to the next chair is that any committee that cannot meet that bar will need to automatically switch to an in-person only format. Because I think we have great benefits from the hybrid meetings in terms of the number of people who are able to participate in our work. But it is not legal to have essentially a meeting that's all virtual and that is making decisions for a board like ours. So that's the sort of conundrum we're facing. And again, I will be working with the staff here to reach out to committee members and co-chairs around how to get them up to speed to take on those responsibilities. Are there?
Beverly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there, you know, managing the technology is only one aspect of what happens, what the co-chairs do at the committee meetings.
Right.
You know, there's also like last night, council member Eric Watcher was, you know, there was a lot of back and forth. Is he on, is he not on? Okay, he got on, then he got off, then okay, let's call his assistant now, it's time for him to come back. You know, there was so much, you know, even with both Daria and I, who are relatively comfortable with technology, it was just without Maisie's help, you know, it would have been very difficult. The meeting would have been just very, very choppy. So it's not just I guess my point is it's not just the managing of the Zoom and pressing this button or
And
that.
I think there can be some flexibility around the occasional meeting where we know there is something that is going to be driving significant passion and interest from the public. But I think this needs to be the new normal. And if we can work towards that in the coming month, I think we will do fine.
What technology is required? I see that he's got a laptop. I don't know which laptop. Is that
This is the board's
laptop?
That's the board laptop. Alex, would you like to describe what goes into setting up a meeting?
Well, yeah, I mean, very quickly, we have a pamphlet which I can show you. But everything should be set up and it should be a matter of clicking to start the Zoom. There's still some issues occasionally with the owl that we're working through right now and the Wi-Fi, but hopefully we have it set up well. But I will say, yeah, people are gonna have to become comfortable with it because to Natasha's point, there's also like, oh, hey, I have a presentation I want to give. But did I email it to you? But I didn't think I emailed it to you, but I have it on the thumb drive. And it's not showing up with the Zoom, and I hear the feedback. You know, so there's a lot, there's in every meeting, there's a whole host of like little things like that. So I think, again, we're gonna get everyone comfortable with it. We'll make it even easier for people to do. But maybe we'll have to make things simpler, like actually the only thing that gets presented is from this computer. So don't email us anything. Actually, you must email it to this account or something. So I think we'll work on things like that.
Yeah.
And have we weighed the costs of having a like a tech resource of any sort, like even like volunteers from NYIT that's in our district, where we could perhaps have somebody?
Well, we do actually have tech assistance at our full board meeting.
But right, but I'm talking about at the committees, like one of the things that Jami and I have thought about is like, could we enlist maybe an intern from NYIT, since it's.
If you can get one that doesn't cost anything, you should feel
Right.
free.
Right, but even beyond that, just like the cost of the staff time versus the cost of somebody coming in on a case-by-case basis to a meeting to help with technology. Because invariably, almost at every meeting, there's some sort of tech breakdown, and it's not, no matter how well-trained we all are, I'm not so concerned about how we all deal with it. I'm concerned about how the public perceives us when we.
Understood. I think, again, as we simplify.
Yeah.
Some of this will be, you know, I think better. We did a back of the envelope on the costs. The costs to do this at staff salary levels and time and a half after a certain point are exorbitant.
Yeah.
Again, let's, and I do think there's a case to be made that more members of the committees can become involved in this work.
Like we used to do minutes.
Right?
Yeah.
Wasn't even.
Yeah.
We used to- we had to do the minutes by hand.
I mean, we've relieved committees of a lot of burdens, like taking minutes. We don't do that anymore, right? You know, in many committees, there's a very small number of very active people, and then there are people who are less active. We need to work on that, right? Ken, and then Doug.
I presume part of the job will be to promote people to the, as panelists and that sort of thing, because
Yeah.
it's, okay, because it's one thing to, often feel like I have my hands full just running the meeting,
Yeah.
keeping track of everything, and then having to promote people and hit the right keys.
I think that's why I'm suggesting we think in terms of the capacity that resides in the committee as a whole.
Mhm.
And figure out how to mobilize that capacity
Right.
to address these needs.
Yeah, dovetailing what you're saying, I think even people that are 100% remote, depending on the permissions they have, whether they can promote someone, but just like last night, there were lots of people in the attendees, and I just happened, you know, if you hit the cursor, then you see who's there, and you can see whose hands are up. So if any individual committee member happens to either bring their laptop, or they could be at home, it could be their duty for the evening or the day to report to the co-chair and say, I see that we have 3 hands up, so that the co-chairs can run the meeting, but you can deputize someone on your committee. And I think that makes things easier, yeah.
Jamie, I see your hand.
Thank you, Beverly. I just want to clarify, I think I know the answer, but I've been wondering this for a year at least. So the day for the staff members begins at, did you say 8:30, Beverly?
I think what the city regulatory structure says, it must begin between the hours of like 8 and 10, something like that.
Correct.
So
So you can't, what that rules out.
You
is
see
that
where I'm going?
You start at 2 in the afternoon and you go to 8.
Right, right.
That's illegal. That's
Yeah,
the
of course, y'all were smart enough to have thought of that. I wasn't the only person in the room who had that brilliant idea. So I'll move on. This my second question, and then I do have a comment that picks up on sort of a theme I'm hearing around the table. My second question, I heard you suggest, and I know it was really sort of a needle in our side, but you suggested that you'd have to go to in person if you can't get it together. But I don't think that in person would satisfy our requirements because there are members of the public who are entitled, correct me if I'm wrong, who are entitled to come to our meetings on Zoom, even if members are going to agree on a committee to meet in person. Am I incorrect about that? Do we not now have to give our members of the public the right to attend via link?
No, we do not. We opted into the ability to, we voted at the right time, when I'm sure Elizabeth remembers this very vividly. We voted to enable us to offer hybrid meetings. That was a vote we took.
Mhm.
That does not mean every meeting has to be hybrid. We can offer some meetings that are fully in person. What we cannot do is offer meetings that are fully hybrid. I'm sorry,
Fully virtual. Yes,
Yeah.
understood. So as long as it's properly noticed to the public that a meeting will be fully in person, they are then entitled to come in person. And that's very good to know. I know it's a controversial statement to say it, but I think in-person meetings work. I don't think hybrid meetings are ideal. I'm happy I'm hybrid at this moment. And Seema, it's nice to see you. Hi. But really, we probably should just take the absence, take the hit, make the commitment to be there in person. There are a lot of problems, I will say, as a co-chair, with managing a hybrid meeting. The people who are virtual are not included in the same way. And when the meeting becomes tense or difficult, or God forbid, but it does happen, combative, the people who are virtual are at a distinct disadvantage, be they members of the public, electeds, representatives of our agencies, or even committee members. So it is just not my favorite form. And I say all of that to echo what Natasha and Ken, and I think even Elizabeth was alluding to, and the other two were alluding to get my grammar straight. It is very, very difficult to manage the meeting and also manage the tech. We are blessed to have Alex Bell on our committee. I make sure every committee I'm on has Alex on the committee, but not everybody can do that. And I also feel that it puts not only puts Alex, I'm almost finished, not only puts Alex at a disadvantage, but whatever committee member has to lean into tech is not able to focus on the work of the committee as much as he or she would be otherwise if they weren't focusing on tech. So I hear what you're saying. I understand we have a complex resource problem, and the way to deal with it is to share the burden across a committee. But at least on transportation, every member of the committee is fully engaged in the work of the committee. We don't have any slackers. So the minute we're going to start asking people to lean into tech, they will not be as engaged in the work of that evening. So that's my concern. I think it's highly unprofessional to run meetings without tech support. And I know that's the wave of the future, but we're not quite there yet. And so that's my way in. Elizabeth and I are working it, and we will make it happen for you. But my overall feeling is that as a board, we need to not have owls that go on the blink for 20 to 25 minutes in a meeting. And those of us who are not Alex Bell cannot resolve that problem. And Alex, with all due respect to you, sometimes you can't get those owls to speak to you either.
I hear it. I hear everybody. I think the one.
I just want to share something. I'm sorry.
Please, go ahead.
I learned myself the same way you guys have. It just got thrown at me, not in a bad way, in a good way. I had to learn and I had to keep up. So I've learned along the way as the same as you guys. but also to keep in mind that even though I know Beverly mentioned voluntary and involuntary, I've been working every night meeting for free, okay? Not voluntary, not involuntary. I've been here at your service and I've made it work, but I've also learned in tech. And I think that if you want to make the hybrid where you want to reach out to the community, you could find out your strengths and your weaknesses. All of you have different strengths and different weaknesses. So I suggest that you tap onto the strength of people within the community that can do the tech. Because while we're doing tech, we're also doing work behind the scenes and not just committee work with presentations and stuff like that. We're also doing other stuff for other committees while we're in our offices. So I know it's a challenge. I just want you guys to try to make it work. Like, just give it a try and see where it goes.
And I would say that the ultimate solution is to increase our budget.
Yeah.
We aren't there yet, okay. Can we we have other things to do, so can we,
Can I say something really quick?
go ahead, Seema, you haven't spoken on this.
I just wanted to say that I wanted to applaud Jessie, Max, Alex, and especially Alex Crawford and especially Alex Bell. The system that they have created is really quite impressive, and it's very simple. Obviously, things can go wrong, and sometimes they do, but I have to say it's far less intimidating to run a meeting than you think it is. I just wanted to say that. And I
Thank you.
applaud them for all their hard work in making that the case.
Okay, can we have people's final comments, please?
Mhm.
Very quick, Ken, and then
I just say,
Doug,
we have a new requirement for public membership on the board.
Interesting,
And
okay.
transportation doesn't have a public member.
Well, that was your
Yeah.
choice, that was your choice.
That wasn't my choice.
It was the choice of the committee.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug.
I was just gonna say that obviously if we have a meeting that is totally in person, then unfortunately it doesn't get recorded.
Yes, it does.
Okay, well, you
It
still
can
need a
still-
tech to set up the
It-
recording.
No, it can still, it is very simple to get it recorded for YouTube, right?
If you can
So
set up the recording for YouTube, you could probably set up the recording, for live streaming. It's really not that much of a leap.
But it's the management of the participatory part.
But also on the minutes taking, obviously, we use the YouTube for minutes, so we would have to have manual minutes that would be submitted after a meeting.
I think our hope is that we can preserve the YouTube so that if we do have to, no longer have access to the public for a particular meeting, via a Zoom link, that they can go in and see it,
Okay, but who will set up the recording of that?
I think that we have a way of doing that, that's my
I think this
understanding.
is the details that we'll work,
Okay.
working out over the next.
Yeah.
And my last point is that we do have just one meeting, I think, a month where it's daytime, which is our senior task force.
That's fine,
So no, that's fine. What
that's not gonna be an issue from the union standpoint.
No, what I'm saying is that I assume, and maybe I assume incorrectly, I work during the weekdays, so those kind of meetings would be very difficult. But if there's any meetings that could ever be, besides the senior task force, that could be in the daytime, there is no issue.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Beverly, might I add that I tried to make the new public safety task force meetings during the day to avoid, or not task force, I'm so sorry, Beverly, I know you are not happy to hear me say that, working group, during the day to avoid this problem for the staff, and none of the members could make it during the day. I think one person was able to make it during the day.
Okay.
I just will just quickly access that for a second, but Jamie, I agree with everything that you said. I just wanted to say, the in-person always works better. Before COVID, we always had in-person. Everybody always showed up. Everybody came. It was much more lively discussion. And I think that we just lose so much with the virtual, and people are just disengaged and they're not paying attention, and they're, it really, I think it hurts the board overall. I think virtual or hybrid is an awful system. I think it was necessary. I think it should be done and over with, and we need to go back to in person for everything.
Hello? I think we lost them.
I mean, like a physical office.
Well, we have an office because we have to have a quorum for a committee meeting. in
So it has
person.
to be in person, that's the point.
And we have an administrative staff.
And we have an administrator.
But in person.
In person.
Right.
I'd like to put forward ask someone to make a motion, I guess, to continue the senior task force for another year. Our bylaws require an annual vote of the steering committee for a task force to remain in effect. So if anyone has any questions about the senior task force, Roberta's not here, but I think it's one of the very effective forums that we run and has been for a number of years.
I would like to recommend that we do that, make a motion to do that, because she's established a huge group of people from every agency, not even all in the district, but around the city. And they've begun to cooperate with each other and share information that I think is invaluable, so.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of continuing? All right, unanimous vote. Thank you. We had, when we passed our bylaw change to create the public member program a year ago, one of the provisions that was added before we voted was the need to evaluate the program after it has been in existence for a year. I will be reaching out to the committees that have public members with a kind of survey to underpin the report that needs to be developed about our experience with that. I had thought maybe we might, I think it's really the 4 committees that have public members who have the experience, and from everything I have heard from those committees, it's been a very positive experience. But I think getting answers to some survey questions will help going forward, the board figure out whether they want to make any modifications to the program, whether they find it effective as it is. And we will also therefore satisfy essentially a requirement that was passed a year ago. Any
Yeah, I have 2 things. A, we have a public member and it's been terrific. I think we just have one public member. She really contributes. I think it's great to have her. And it makes sense with just this person's schedule. They weren't willing or able to commit to the full community board kind of schedule, but their interest is in education. The committee's a good fit. She comes, she's knowledgeable, she participates. But my question was just how long do they serve for? Like, is there some process we have to go through?
Yes. What we put into our bylaws was a 1-year term, renewable for up to 3 years. So they will have to again apply. And one of the questions I'd like on the survey is, if you have a sitting public member, can you take a vote to have them reapply as separate and apart from opening it up to the world as a whole for a competition? And to me, if you were very satisfied with your public member and they've gotten to know you, maybe we should do that. But I'd like to hear the feedback from the committees that are impacted by it.
If they want to just go through more of a renewal process rather than an open call
Right,
application.
exactly.
Yeah.
That would be one of the questions that I would be asking.
No.
Okay, other than that, is chair's reports. I know there've been some lively meetings and we're anticipating several more. But if we could go through the committees, that'd be great. Ken, you want to start?
Okay. Well, our next meeting is got postponed till the 30th because of the holidays, which is a week before the full board. And we have essentially one agenda item, but we probably will have a resolution. You may have heard, there's been a little controversy about vaccines. And there's actually on Thursday, the ACIP, the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, is going to be voting on various vaccines and what to recommend. And basically the federal government and insurance companies follow what they recommend. RFK Jr. has stacked them with vaccine skeptics. And so Brad Hoylman Siegel and Michael Lasher have a bill in the legislature, which actually Brad mentioned at the last full board meeting, and I followed up and called him and asked him to come to our meeting and discuss it and present it. And it would basically allow the state to bypass the federal government, and the New York State Health Commission would basically set the rules for people in the state on vaccines.
Yeah, the West Coast states have done something
Yeah.
similar, and the New England states as well.
Right. Unfortunately, it wouldn't force insurers to cover, as far as I know. So that's going to be something we're going to be talking about.
Case since insurance is governed by state, it's ruled by the state, not the federal government.
Yeah, but as far as I know, his bill would force it. And I know the Massachusetts governor forced the insurers in Massachusetts to cover. So, and I don't think Kathy Hochul has. So we need.
She made a statement about
Yeah.
making sure, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. And has Brad agreed to come by?
Yeah, either Brad or a staff member.
Okay.
And either Micah or a staff member.
Okay.
So we may get lucky and get both of them. Or they'd love to appear virtually, which is another,
Yeah, that's another.
they don't have to huff it down here.
Yeah.
But also speaking of public members, related to this, we're going to ask our public member, Michael Cantor, who is a physician at Bellevue and also on the faculty at NYU, to talk about how all this skepticism about proven medical treatments is affecting healthcare and on the Upper West Side in our city, his practice, and so he's going to prepare something.
Great.
On that. So,
sounds like a lively meeting. And you're likely to get one, right?
I think so.
All right, Madge?
Well, the Met postponed their last month meeting. They're coming to us this month, and it's just a small thing about water tower and some signage, which I think we've already seen. But also the West Park Presbyterian Church is coming back to undesignate the building. To request that, and we're expecting to have 2 meetings, and we're trying to find a bigger space for a meeting because we think we'll have a lot of people there.
Yeah, I think you will too.
Yeah, to help us find some space.
Maybe Matt Damon will come.
Okay, Elizabeth and Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie, please weigh in. I guess Natasha will report on the meeting we had last night. Because neither she nor I were there. Coming up, I mean, we do expect potentially some follow-up from the horse carriages issue. The main item for us has been the 72nd Street Crosstown bike lane, which we had done a significant amount of preparation for over the summer. Had it scheduled and on the agenda for September, only to be told at the very 11th hour, like Friday before the meeting, that they weren't ready, and furthermore that a date was TBD. So we don't even think, I think it's possible they come and at the last minute and tell us it'll be ready to discuss in October, but more likely we think it'll be moved to later in the fall. We do have on the agenda, if it Broadway between 70th and 72nd Street, which has raised a lot of community interest on numerous fronts. And again, that's schedule dependent right now, but we're working with the individual who has proposed it and it's done a great job, very thorough job, and been very patient with us. It's very interesting. It will impact a lot of things in the neighborhood, so stay tuned for that. Jamie, did I miss anything? I mean, I know we've got a bunch of other stuff, but.
Great. Kristen and Minna.
Yep, so for YEL, we have a meeting coming up on Thursday. Our first agenda item will be a joint committee meeting with Housing and Land Use to kind of review and discuss the proposed Bloomingdale library changes. As you all know, those changes are far greater than just the library. It is a change to the library and then a giant building on top of it. So I definitely see that scale beyond the libraries committee. But for now, we're gonna host that meeting, discuss the latest proposal, which I believe is actually the same as the one we saw in the spring, but just sort of refresh everybody on it and start to pull out like what our questions are, what our issues are, so that we can build from there. Seema, I don't think that's a resolution per se coming out of that, right?
No, maybe it's, I mean, I think we just need to give feedback to the library and the EDC team. So maybe it's just a list of questions and a letter or comments.
Yeah, I think the immediate first part, once they begin, and that's, the beginning is probably a year or two away, but I mean, this is a long.
It'll be a long road, right? So it won't be a
earliest
resolution.
part of it that I think people on the YL committee are gonna care about is what happens to the library
component.
services
Yeah.
during this interim period. And how are they thinking about that? And maybe we can get some feedback around that. That would be good, very
Yeah.
useful. Yeah.
So that will be our first agenda discussion. The second one will be about the DNS statement review, where YEL stands and what we're putting in as our requests, and the capital line items. We'll also, as a third, and so that, we don't usually do a resolution, right? We just do a discussion.
Just need a discussion.
Yeah, so we have no resolutions, because the third will be an update on the 1972 Broadway school building, what's going on in there. I believe it's District 75, but now that the school term has begun, we want a little update on like how it's going and what's going on there. Right, is that everything?
Okay, good.
Okay. We have definitely one item on the agenda, which is the River Run Playground, which the renovation of that was not controversial to me, but apparently to the public it was very controversial. So even though the Parks Department had said initially that they would come to us yesterday, but they said they need more time to consider all the feedback, and so they'll be coming back to us next month, and it will be, I guess, a resolution. I guess we'll figure out whether we have to scrap the earlier resolution and then just do a new one. And then about last night's meeting, which was joint with transportation, it was about horse carriages, another item that is very controversial, I guess. So the controversy was that right at the top of the meeting, I announced that we're going to change the agenda. We're going to take the part about doing a resolution off because our discussion was supposed to be based on a bill proposed by Eric Watcher, among others. Eric Watcher was unable to make it to the meeting. We had been reaching out to him for like 10 days. And on Friday, they told us in no uncertain terms that he wouldn't be able to make it. When I made that announcement, somebody in the audience who does legislative work with Eric Watcher's office, represents like an animal welfare organization, they made one call and within 5 minutes, Eric Watcher was on Zoom. He was at some other event, probably triple, quadruple booked, but with that one phone call, I wish I had that kind of power to just get somebody to drop everything and get on my meeting. And so we had a very animated discussion. It was over an hour long. And Eric Watcher also spoke, of course, and the NYPD was there, the Conservancy was there, the TWU, which is the union representing the horse carriages, and the owners was there. So it was a very lengthy discussion. It was also very emotional. And I felt like the people who were on one side of the animal welfare issue and the people who were on the other side, they just could not, there was just, one of them was saying that the horses are treated like royalty, and the other one was like, you know, they're about to die, like right now. And so, you know, I because we had taken the proposal for the resolution off the table right at the top, we could not do a resolution despite a very lengthy discussion. Many people left that meeting very upset, I know. And this morning I got an email from the Conservancy asking us what the next steps would be. And my opinion is that yes, after investing so much time in this issue last night, we should have some sort of concrete plan with like the Transportation Committee about what we should be doing next. And it doesn't have to be decided right now in this meeting, but like at some point we have to get together and decide what we want to do. A resolution or like
No,
whatever.
I understand the desire for some kind of closure, but I can think of a good half dozen very hot button issues that we had lengthy discussions about and never passed a resolution on. So,
They also haven't requested for one.
yeah, so.
Well, then,
Well, they.
Now they have.
when the council member came, at least on 3 separate occasions,
Yeah.
he told us to pass a
Yeah, he
resolution.
verbalized it.
It was very,
We have to do
very,
Yeah.
He's not our, he's not our.
that's the other thing.
True.
Does he have
Mel
any
did
of our
sign on to
district-
this buildup.
Wait, does he have any of our district now?
I don't think. so.
No,
Not even
no.
like the very,
The sliver.
the sliver of
used
Time
to.
Warner Center?
No, I don't,
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he does.
The
Okay,
stables
so to be continued, but I think we have sort of some mellowing out time, so
Yeah.
we don't have to do anything immediately there. BCI,
We did not have a meeting this month because applications, well, the staff was working remotely, the mail didn't get delivered, the stuff wasn't here on time. So we just couldn't get together to have the meeting, but I imagine in October, we'll have a pretty full
pretty full
document.
agenda.
Because it's gonna be from the past couple of months.
All right,
So,
all right, to be, to be continued as we get more information. Budget and strategy, and then Seema, you're gonna be the last.
Work on the district needs statement continues. We more or less completed our consultations with staff for the members of the council that do represent the community district. Otherwise, no meetings anticipated, no resolutions.
What is the deadline on the DNS?
End of October.
End of October, thank you. Okay, Seema,
Okay, we have a busy meeting. We have 3 agenda items. The first is a BCA application for Art Cafe. It's 110 West 73rd Street. I have received, I think, close to 40, maybe 50 different complaints about this location, about this business. They seem to be terrible neighbors. So we are hearing them and many of these complaints first. Second, we also have been receiving a ton of feedback about the ABC Extel project. So we're going to be hearing a lot of neighbors, community members come by to talk to us about that, about both the logistics, construction, demolition, and the project itself. And lastly, there's an initiative by city planning called the Manhattan Plan, which is an attempt to create ideas to generate 100,000 new housing units in Manhattan in, I'm not sure what the time frame is, 5 years, 10 years. So we have been working, we have a working group that's been meeting, I think we met 3 times. We're going to present some of our initial work at our meeting tomorrow, but then we are also having a second meeting to really hash all of that stuff out, with the anticipation of bringing that to the board and then hopefully submitting that to city planning shortly thereafter. So we expect 3 resolutions. Oh, and the second meeting, just FYI, is I think going to be on Monday, September 29th at 6:30 in the office.
May I ask a question?
surely.
Do we, there was a smaller working group and a larger working group on the AAPC site. I know we broke during the summer. Are we resuming any of those meetings?
We're just going to do a public update to everyone at the meeting tomorrow. So Beverly and I had a quick meeting with Gail Brewer, the commissioner of HPD, as well as Edith Suchen from DCP. So we have a quick update on how that meeting went and hopefully a counter proposal that we will offer to Extel.
So that, okay, but we had a small working group and a larger one. Have we disbanded both of those working groups? Because that the plan was to resume after the summer.
Yeah, no, they haven't been disbanded, but also nothing has happened in the interim to prompt a meeting.
Okay.
And the meeting we had was essentially organized by Gail, and that was her invitation list, so.
Okay.
We went with the flow.
Understood.
Okay.
Public safety.
Public safety and anything else. Roberta's not here, so task force we'll find out about later. Go ahead.
No, so last month we had the district attorney's office make an abbreviated presentation on the identification and prevention of hate crimes, which is an ongoing issue, and they remain available to us, questions or additional. Should the working group get expanded into a task force or whatever it's going to happen, that may be a place where you know the more fleshed out presentations from parties like the district attorney or others can make a longer presentation with Q&A. So that was more of a teaser at full board. But the only thing that I would like to propose regarding public safety at our next full board is we have a new commanding officer of the 24th precinct. And I would like to invite her just to say a quick hello and welcome her, and nothing more than maybe 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. So I'd like her to say hi. Deputy Inspector Lazarus has moved on from the 2-4, and she is now the CO commanding officer of the 19th precinct. And you might remember Captain Zuber was the 2-0 CO, and then he moved to the 19th. And I don't know where Zuber has moved, but he's at the 19th. It's a big thing. They all move around, but we always want to know who our commanding officers are. And now we have a new one in the 2-4, and I think we should meet her.
Okay, well, thank you. Any new business or other items that people wish to raise?
Beverly, I would simply add, and picks up well on what Doug was saying, we did have our first meeting of the Public Safety Working Group, as it is currently known. We even talked about what we should call ourselves, what is public safety. It was quite a sort of, there were about, Doug, would you say Alex was also there? I can't see the room, virtual, but at least 2 people at steering were at the meeting. And it was mostly a bat around ideas, get to know each other and sort of define what the work of the group will be. But Beverly, we were very mindful of the 90-day perimeters within which we work.
We're doing a virtual whiteboard now.
And we are doing we're working virtually as a working group.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
No, I mean, I think we've tried many, many different approaches to this work and this subject, and they haven't worked out as sort of vibrant, ongoing forums for important issues. So this is an effort to really just spend some time thinking about what it should be. And in my head, I think public safety and criminal justice are both kind of pieces of this. But very distinct. I mean, they're not, and the criminal justice could have many aspects to it that are not about, law enforcement. They're maybe about alternatives, that we hope to establish or expand within our district as well. So I think there's the participants in this group, which I think have been very thoughtfully assembled by Jami, represent many of those different strands, if you will. And so I'm very hopeful that they come out with a plan that makes good sense and that our future leaders will find attractive. Thank you. Anything further? If not, may I have a be, I
Oh,
mean,
we're
I
gonna have
don't-
one in October?
well, we may have one in October.
Beverly
but
may be like,
I may
peace out.
I may defer to the incoming chair.
Oh, got it.
I just might.
Oh.
Well, thank you for everything that you've done.
Yeah.
for all-
Full board in October.
Yes.
In any case, to manage. And lots of issues meantime, so trying to keep the vote going. So,
Thank you.